Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome to another Monday Morning Art Talk. I'm Steven Silver, character designer and teacher, dedicated to helping you learn about the art industry and living up to your potential. Whippy! All right, so we're just 1 month away from the European workshops. If you're interested, just go to silvertunes.com/workshops, I think. silvertunes.com. Today's going to be sort of like an interesting type of bouncing around on ideas, but I think the real heart of it comes down to what I'm often discussing is partly purpose, but partly struggle and the struggles that we face. And I think it's for me just kind of trying to conjure it up in a way. So that's why I feel like, my art talks are usually organic and they go, but today, I don't know, my mind's just feeling open, and it's weird. I don't know if you guys ever have it, but I think everyone has it. Your mind sort of just bounces around from things to things and just hop, skips, and jump. But the thing on purpose is what I feel again, and I try to recall so much of where I am because I started when I was 18. And now I'm 46, okay? So there's been that span of from where I began, trying to recall, try to conjure it up so that you guys can just hear my story or a bit more about my journey. Although, again, your story and your journey is going to be completely different from mine because we have completely different circumstances all around, different upbringings, different places where we were born, different parents, different circumstances. There's so many situations, right? But when we start to get into that moment of thinking that we want to be artists, like this is the thing, this is what I want to be, this is what I want to do, I don't want to do that other thing. That's where I was. I don't want to have a regular job, I don't want to wear a suit and tie, I don't want to be a responsible adult, so to speak. I just want to draw. And again, this was a whole different time before the internet existed. So it was a different time. I've talked about it with illustrators from the past to illustrators today and how much more pressure really there is, but how much more work there is. So that's the balance. That's the thing. You got to weigh that out and say, you know what? Yeah, it's harder today, but also there's so much more potential today through the iPhones and the computer and so many companies and thank God. All these companies that just are starting and innovating and doing things, that we can be a part of and that they'll pay us for our talents, thank God, how cool is that? So that, again, the purpose becomes, I feel like it is, I realize the importance of purpose and that you do have to find a purpose. And that's a struggle. That's a struggle. What is my purpose? What am I supposed to do? Do I do this? I don't know. Should I do that? Well, I don't know. Will it work out? Well, I don't know. We don't know anything. That's the bottom line. So in order to find purpose, you have to go on a hunt for it. You gotta try to discover it. You gotta try to put yourself in and doing things that you just don't know, right? So how did I know my purpose wasn't to be a painter? Because I tried it. And after a while, I realized it wasn't my bag, baby. And was my purpose to do architecture, which people thought you should be an architect. You want to make a living. Again, people who aren't artists, they think, oh, be an architect or something. You make a living doing that. Did I want to do that? Buildings and architecture? No, started messing around with that, drawing vehicles, drawing things. Was it my bag, baby? No, man, it wasn't my bag, baby. It wasn't it wasn't my purpose. It wasn't meant to be. So what kept happening through those sort of struggles of trying to, what am I going to do? What's the real goal here? I was always drawing people and faces and then caricatures. And you know what? With caricatures, there was just something a little bit more exciting about it for me. And that became where I was just started to work on that. But I also thought I wanted to be just a gag cartoonist too. But then I tried that. I tried doing a gag cartoon and trying to get into that realm. And was that my thing? No, it wasn't my thing. So my point is, you're going to go through many things, especially you younger guys. You're going to be going through this, where it's going to be this constant, like, oh, I don't know, what am I supposed to do? And then all of a sudden you're going to transition into something. This is what's going to happen. You're going to go through these phases of trying to find purpose, but not really thinking about you're trying to find purpose. You just go, I want to make a living as an artist, but you know what? That's a purpose. But now you're making that purpose. You got to start refining that even more. Okay, I want to make a living as an artist, but I want to make a living as an artist, as an animator. I want to make a living as an artist, as a book illustrator, comic book artist, a CG model, you name it. Okay. So whatever that is, you start to refine that a bit. But then again, the purpose still, it's not, I don't believe that when you set your purpose, that it's just going to be, one thing, right? How can I sort of like say this again? This is where my mind's sort of spinning. Like, what are the right words? What are the sort of things? So let's just say, back to my apple tree. Let's just say my purpose is to create my apples. So that's my purpose, is to create apples from my apple tree, and I'm going to produce those. But now that I've produced those, what is my purpose now? Well, my purpose is to feed people, feed insects, feed animals, and brighten up a teacher's day by giving them an apple, right? So my apple can extend into many other areas and blossom into many other things that are affecting people. But I think that's where purpose comes in, that you have something to say and share at the end of the day, okay? So this taps into, if my purpose is to share and say something at the end of the day and contribute somehow, I want to be a part of an organization, a system, I want to open up my own company, I want to be a teacher, I want to do this, whatever it is, just think about it, just really think about it. It's on a broader scale. It's usually never just self-serving. It's never for you. Because if you're just sitting there all day just working on your own art and you're not inspiring people with it, or it's not being used for a purpose to be put on TV or in a magazine to help sell a story or showcase to kids or have a product for people to wear or something, well, then you're just doing it for yourself and no one's ever going to see it anyway, so none of it really matters. But that's not what we want, right? We don't want that. We want our stuff to be out there. We want it to be seen. We want it to be shared. So this is where from purpose sort of transitions into the struggle, all right? Because the struggle becomes, okay, well, now I'm doing these things in my life. I've accomplished these things in my life. I'm finding my sort of purpose and, because I've gone through that initial struggle, right, of just trying to figure this all out. Again, it's going to be timing that's going to get you there. So if you can trust in that, just remember that, just trust in the timing of things, as long as you're effectively moving towards things and not sitting there with your thumb in your mouth, and thinking that things are going to happen for you. You got to put those things into action. So now the struggle is, okay, now I have my purpose, but now I want to get it out there. How do I get it out there? How do I keep maintaining it? How do I keep sharing it? Because this is my purpose. So that can be a major part of the struggle. You've just finished publishing your own book. So where's the struggle? Well, how do I get people to see it now? How do I share it? What do I need to do? So this is where you start forming almost your business plan. In all honesty, you got to start figuring out what's the strategy. So I got to figure out the strategy of where I'm going. And that's the struggle. Maybe you work alone. How do I do this? How do I figure this out? No one showed me. No one's talked to me about this. They just keep showing me how to draw stuff and they just keep showing me how to get better all the time. Well, now I'm freaking good at doing whatever you're good at doing, but now I'm not being seen. How oftentimes do we see so many talented artists that we're almost in shock or in awe of? What do you mean you're not working? That nothing's going on, because you reach that point of struggle of now you got to switch your art brain and get business orientated, especially in today's era. And I'm telling you guys, and I'm going to tell you guys that where this world is going with what's happening is such an entrepreneurial market it's gonna be the individual's right to create and manifest and do what they want and build the freedom and not be dictated by people or controlled by people and saying, this is what I want to do, that you're going to have to form your own business and your own identity and everything else, because this is where the market's going to be. The market's going to start to transition into, there's going to be the animation studios, there's going to be this licensing, there's going to be the books, there's going to be all these things, but there's going to be people who want, you know what, why? Because people want ownership. People, look what's going on. Everyone wants to be an individual. Everyone wants to be their own being and their own person. So they want to make their own choices and be the decision makers. And this is me. So this is me. I want to buy that. Look at that cool shirt, man. So all of a sudden you're the guy that, that creates this awesome apparel company. And you go, wow, that's freaking awesome. I'm going to buy that person's hat they made and that person's clothing. I'm going to buy that person's book for my grandson or whoever it's going to be. This is where, and there's so many opportunities. So more and more, what are we seeing? We're seeing more and more conventions popping up all over the place because people want to get out of their house. They want to get away from the computers. This is happening. This is all happening, and it's going to keep happening. And as we keep getting more and more connected worldwide, and all these innovative companies keep coming up with brilliant ideas and making new resources and new things for people, you get to be a part of that. You get to decide if that's what you want to do. But this is part of the struggle. Because you got to start trying to, you got to formulate this. You got to try to figure out how it's going to be. So the struggle that I would say that I've always faced ever since I decided that I wanted to be a teacher. I've been a teacher for a long time. This is my true purpose in life is to teach. All the other stuff that I do on the side is just a byproduct of what it is that I really want to do. But I'm doing it. I don't have any regrets. I'm doing my teaching. I do my freelance. I work on my own projects. I'm sort of like multiple campfires, right? You got to have multiple things sort of like going on. Not just reliant, not all eggs in one basket. But that's going to be the struggle. So for that struggle for me has always been, it's the promoting. You got, it's almost like you got to do it. You got to let people know where you're going to be, what you're going to do, how you're going to do it. But that's a struggle. I wish I could just sit there and just do my artwork and do my stuff and never have to mention that I want to go and do, that I'm going to teach a class, or that just people would just automatically just show up and you just sat there. But that's not reality. So that's part of the struggle doing that. Okay. So you're always going to be dealing with this stuff. So what I want to sort of like say is that if you can accept that you're going to go through this struggle, that the struggle is going to be part of it, and it's part of discovering purpose, and it's part of the process of once you've discovered your purpose, because nothing's just handed to you, nothing's just given to you. And reality of anything is just handed to you and given to you, and I can tell you from what I've seen, you'd never really appreciate it. What do? You take it for granted. When you're just handed everything, look what happens to people who are just handed stuff. It's just taken for granted just because you expect more and you know that you don't have to do anything. This is what happens. I've seen it. I've seen what happens if someone's just and for instance, and I'll go back just to a couple of instances when I was very much into the publishing and self-publishing and doing all this and sharing my knowledge with people. And some people I was giving, they were just coming at me with all these questions. They wanted everything sort of handed to them. They didn't want to have to do any of the work. So I handed it to them, on a silver platter. Here, this is exactly boom, 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 boom. So they had to do no work or no thought for themselves. And what did they do? It just died down because there's no real drive. There's no real passion. There's no real striving. And it's the same thing with art. When I teach, I tell people, I'm not going to give you every single day. I couldn't give you all the answers anyway, number one, but self-discovery is such an important part of this, and it's part of the struggle. But if you just handed everything, can you imagine if all of a sudden you were just given all the ability just to like draw whatever you want, whenever you want. Oh no, that'd be great. Give it to me. Give me that, see how I'm rambling here? I'm going off on tangents. But you know, giving me that snake oil and I could just drink that and all of a sudden, you know, the pixie dust and now I can do it all. Yeah, it'll be fine for a while, and then all of a sudden what happens, then you're just going to be taking jobs and doing work, but then you're going to be doing other people's stuff all the time, and all of a sudden you're going to feel like at a certain point that you're missing something, and I think you're missing part of the discovery, because even the most talented of artists are constantly in discovery. You're constantly got your eyes, you just see things and you get attracted to it. You just look at it. Can you imagine if that was missing, if that sense of discovery was gone? In all honesty, life would be completely and utterly boring, I think, if that was completely ripped away from you. So the thing is, that journey and that struggle is part of this, but I think it's just part of accepting that, okay? And now, as I've been rambling here, I just kind of want to tap into another thing dealing with struggle, where how I see the top, the people that rise, how they fall. Why does someone who's risen to the top, and you look at them and you admire them and you go, man, they freaking got it all perceived. Remember, perceived. When we're seeing the people winning their awards and they're got their this and they're winning this and then that, what are a lot of them doing? You know, I hear about, you know, this is for my family. You know, I wish I could have been there kissing you at nighttime when you went to bed. I wish I was there for dinners. Missing out on all these factors of life, especially when they got kids. Just to have that, and they rise, and they're constantly seeking to rise and rise and rise for what? For notoriety, for other people to pat them on the back and say, bravo, good job, lad, you did it, well done. You know, is that what you're looking for? Is that what you need? Because those people who are so much in demand, who want that so bad, what happens to these people? And they achieve that, and all of a sudden people aren't paying attention to them anymore. They're not getting the praise anymore. They're not keeping up anymore. They're only as good as their last movie they made, as their last thing they sold, as their last award they got. And they put everything onto that, and all of a sudden it's disappearing. It dissipates, which happens. And then they start to go down into that depression and that sad, and they got problems here and there. And I'm not saying it's 100% of people, but I'm telling you, if I'd say a hell of a lot of people, you're going through this. So you got to be careful. You got to be careful why you're trying to even find your purpose. Your purpose just, well, I want to be famous. Is that a purpose? I don't think so. I don't think a purpose of being famous is a good striving thing to be, in all honesty. It's just, I don't know. I just don't buy it. I don't buy it. I don't see it. And I don't know. I see a lot of miserable famous people out there. That's all I know. Why? Why are these people so depressed? Why are all these famous people going to clinics? Why are all these famous people abusing drugs? Why are all these famous people, you know, in rehab centers? Why do famous people commit suicide? Why? What's the struggle? What's the struggle, man? You got it all. You rose to the top. You got everything. So what happens to a lot of these guys? They're on the top and crash and burn. So don't let that be a purpose. Don't keep trying to think that that's what it is, because that's not, again, in my opinion, you got your own opinions, but my opinion is don't let that be the driving force. Purpose should be to somehow, in all honesty, and knowing there's going to be the struggle going through it, is work towards something that's fun for you. Don't just chase the money. Honestly, don't just chase the money. You don't get into art, in all honesty, for that. You do it because it's who you are. Yeah, you got to make a living. But the thing is, that's going to happen. It's going to be a byproduct of your skill set, of your ability not only to draw, but your ability to communicate and your ability to put together a strategy. You know, that's going to, and then whatever comes from that is going to manifest and come from that. But I tell you, life gets so much more enjoyable when it doesn't matter how you're perceived by people. That it's not a thing, you know. I mean, I meet people, it's funny, you know. I don't know, it's a weird thing, but it's funny to even say, but I'll just say it. I've met people and they come up to you, and it's just like, they shake your hand. It's just like, hey, and I'm just gonna, Joe Smith here. How you doing? Hey, how you doing? It's just like, they got to give their full name, and they got to just kind of really, let you know who they are. I remember I was standing in line not too recently with this guy, and this guy was just going, oh, yeah, man. It's just like, hey, how you doing? He didn't know who I was or anything, and I don't expect him to. That's the thing. It's just like, it doesn't matter. But some people, it's just, they turn it into such a big thing. It's just, I'm just standing there, and I'm talking to him. My wife's talking to him, and he's there with his girlfriend. And hey, so hey, man, he's just standing by. Hey, how's it going? What's going on? Shake your hand. Gives his full name. Full of just, you could just feel it. Yeah, man, just, Disney, this, they're just labeling, going off about all this humma, you know who I am. And, I just sit there, just listen to the guy, and it's just funny. But the weird thing that happened at the end, and this is straight, because I'm always just introduce myself. I'm Steven, it's just like, it sounds sometimes strange to me. It's like if people are wanting you to know exactly who they are and what they do. Like, it doesn't freaking matter. Are you a human? Can I have a conversation with you? That's all I care about. I want to be able to have a conversation with you. And I can tell you honestly, I can't stand that sort of, that shallowness that can happen, in conversation where it's just not legit. It's not real. It's so contrived and shallow. It's just missing. There's something missing there. But it was funny at the end. It's just like we're having this conversation. This guy's been bragging about himself forever. And then at the very end, he just asked, so what do you do? And I just say, well, I do designs, but I'm also a teacher, on that. Yeah, that's it. And then about a few minutes later, his girlfriend says, yeah, that's Steven Silver. And then all of a sudden, oh, dude, man, dude, I'm so sorry. I totally love your work and all this stuff. And it was so awkward and so weird and so uncomfortable. It was the most uncomfortable situation, one of them I've been in. It was just bizarre. But these are the people, again, it's like, so don't let that be the thing, the hibbida of what you've done. It's important. And I will say this to you, because where I'm going is, you may think that, what are you talking about? You've said this, you've said that. I don't know what I say half the time. But what I'm saying to you is, when you're promoting yourself, when you're putting yourself out there, so like when I'm at a convention where people don't know me, I go to street fairs, people don't know me, and all these things, that's when you let people know who you are, because now I'm selling that product. I'm trying to create something and let people know out there who aren't familiar with me. And it works. I'll tell people who are industry guys, they'll have a booth or something, and I'll say to them, they're just promoting their stuff. But, how are your sales? Man, my sales aren't good. People don't stop by, blah, blah, blah. They're okay. But the more that person has sort of, not number one, just let people know who they are, but also even in a visual, what they've done, that, because people are attracted to that. I'm not going to lie. People are attracted to what you've done. I think what I'm talking about now that I've been rambling on is it's more industry orientated. It's like industry folks know who industry folks are. You just kind of like industry people around. But on the outside, I want to sell books to the grandparents, and I want to sell prints to people. My favorite thing in the world is, and I can honestly say, when I do conventions, about 70% of what I sell at conventions are bought by people who aren't familiar with who I am. They'll come and they'll look at my stuff and they'll want to buy it, maybe a print or something. I say, can I sign that for you? And it's weird. And they go, oh, you're the artist? And I hear that a lot. And I love that, because it's just like, it's sort of, for me, it just kind of, I don't know, I just kind of like that, but it proves my point that, again, it's not why skill set matters, and value matters, and perception matters. If someone sees your artwork and they're attracted to it, that's your goal. That's what you're trying to do. That's what you're trying to do when you're making all the stuff that you're sort of making. I think I've gone on so many, I've gone off the topic here. I've gone all over the place. I apologize for that. Again, my mind again starts just spinning and rambling. I apologize for that. Anyway, make it a great week. Have a good one, and I'll talk to you guys next week. Take care. To subscribe to my mailing list and stay updated on future workshops and events, please go to my contact at silvertunes.com and simply hit Join Mailing List. Until the next time, make it a great week, and thank you for listening.